Okay. Well, good evening and happy new year. So the first meeting of the year of the Park and Rec Commission. Hey, Steve, how are you? So we will begin with a roll call. We'll start with Doug and then go down. Just state your name. Doug Murphy.
Hank Green, Keith Ritchie,
George Bennington.
Steve Hopperstraw.
Sue Leoni.
Jake Renito. Great, thank you. Next order of business is to
Jane
approve
Goodman present.
meeting on the minutes from the December 14th meeting, which I'd like to thank Hank.
He just said he.
You got it, yeah. Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He voted. Okay.
I'm sorry, Gene. Heard it down, so it doesn't backbeat. Okay, that's all.
Sorry, Gene. Next order of business to approve the minutes from the December 14th meeting. Again, special thanks to Hank for chairing that. Is there a motion to approve? Keith, motion, is there a second?
Second.
Sue, thank you. So for the minutes, it's Keith and Sue. Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Opposed?
Jane approves.
Gene? Approved.
Approved.
Okay. So motion carries. The next order of business is to approve the meeting schedule for 2023. There are one notation I'd like to make here, both for the March and the September meetings. Those will actually be in the third week of the month, not the second week, as John needs to be away at a couple of business conferences, so it's important that he prep with these meetings. So I have no issues, but are there any questions or comments from the commission members?
Did you say March and April?
March and September.
Okay. We have to look at those, see if they fall into Jewish holidays. Not
Okay.
March, but September.
Sure.
Sorry.
Right. Understood. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other comments? Is there a motion to accept the agenda, the meeting dates for 2023? And Carl's here. Hi, Carl. Hi there. How are you? Have a seat. Okay, Jake, the motion to approve, second, Sue. So Jake, motion to approve, Sue seconded. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Opposed? Gene's vote? Okay, so motion carries. Thank you. The next order of business is the Rockets and Ice Cream Program. I believe, great, welcome. The floor is yours. And you can just introduce yourself by name.
Yes, I'm Sean Gelston from New Canaan Pack 7. And before I continue, John, can we get the slides? Are we going to project the slides on the screen?
Not
Or-
easily.
Okay,
I never got a presentation from you.
I did email it.
Okay.
That's okay. I can just go through my spiel. Okay, so thank you for the opportunity to return to this forum. I'm Sean Gelston, committee chair and the town coordinator for BSA Scouting membership in New Canaan. Here to see you talk about Rockets and Ice Cream Social, which we would like to host at Waveny Park for the third straight year. This is our annual Model Rocket recruiting event for Cub Scouts. It's hosted by the 3 New Canaan Cub Scout units, Pack 7, Pack 45, and Pack 70. We're aiming for June 6th between 6 and 7:30 p.m. with setup starting as early as 2 p.m. that day, cleanup concluding no later than 8:30 p.m. We're also requesting a rain date of June 7th. And the event would take place at the southern clearing of the park, just beyond the far end of the driving range. I had a satellite markup here, but basically, if you saw it, the event completely distant from a pedestrian areas, sporting areas, Waveny House itself, let alone any residential properties. Other things you know, it's free of charge with the public. The ice cream's free. It's promoted via public, school, private school, high school communications, Facebook posting, and outdoor advertisements such as this one, which you could see at Park and Elm last year.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
It's great.
Yeah, got approved. Great. The event typically attracts between 150 and 250 people, including existing members and volunteers, and the launches follow gathering and introductions and last about an hour. We aim for more, but we typically complete 40 to 50 model rocket launches. Safety is really important to us. We follow the NAR, National Association of Rocketry Safety Code. We put in place a launch barrier, which separates the volunteers and the launch pads from all the guests. And we only allow adults to install rockets on pads and control the launches. The model rocket industry has an impeccable safety record. Over the 70 years since they've been tracking the data, over 500 million launches have been completed, only one reportable death. If you equate a launch with a driven mile, model rockets are safer than cars. So far so good with New Canaan rocketry. We've had no issues in either 21 or 21, no injuries, and in both instances, we left the area just as we found it, honoring our commitments to the town as well as the scouting's own leave no trace principles. You can find the safety guidelines, the safety code at nar.org if you want to go over details, but highlights are, using rocket kits that are manufactured by certified commercial producers, lightweight materials, the proper motors, interlock ignition systems, minimum distance between people and pads. We do all these things. It's too bad I didn't get the slides, but it's much more interesting. We know the town has its own insurance policy to cover the unfortunate and the unlikely, but let it be known we come to the table with two policies of our own. Our local scouting council, Connecticut A&P Council, has a $10 million coverage policy with a COI that's on file at the town. And in addition, paid members of the National Association of Rocketry, which I am one, gain access to that organization's $4 million policy. What does this event mean to scouting? It's the most, for the Cub Scouts, it is the most productive recruitment event annually between 15 and 25 new members, which is enough to replace the scouts that are aging out of the program. And indirectly, it recruits for Scout PSA, formerly known as Boy Scouts, given the fact that that program's best feeder is the Cub Scout program. So why should the town support it? Well, scouting, I like to think, is a worthy cause. It builds character, promotes health and fitness, promotes community service, environmental stewardship. And lastly, the program has come a long way to protect youth participants by putting in place training and controls designed to report and prevent abuse. So supporting scouting. While number two is, while this event is aimed at scouting recruitment, Rockets and Ice Cream is at the same time, it's a community event that anyone, young and old, scouters or not, can come and enjoy, from assembly to launch, to the ice cream, to the wacky MC that regales the crowd. This event is just plain fun. And we like to think that in its own small way, it does add to the vibrancy of the town. And lastly, the commercial space industry, forgive the pun, is taking off in earnest in these modern times. And this event creates the opportunity to expose youth to STEM concepts and perhaps even inspire some future careers in space. So thank you for your attention. I'll address any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Before you go, just a comment from last year's, we had no issues.
Right.
And there is one event on the rain day of the 7th. There were rockets and ice cream, and they have no issues with that.
Okay.
It's it's an event that came in after his request.
Thank you, John. Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to approve?
I'm just gonna ask,
Oh.
how many packs are in New Canaan? I'm embarrassed to say I don't know.
There are 3 Cub Scout packs and 3 BSA troops.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve? Jim, thank you. Second, Steve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. And as you said, this really adds to the vibrancy of the town, and we thank you for the continued efforts that your troops do.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Great. So next on the agenda, it actually, we sent out a revised agenda, okay? So it's not in the printed form that you have before you, but is the approval of the meat part of signage. Monica, is there anybody here representing Monica? Oh, no, okay. John, do you feel comfortable that we can move forward with this as long as you're,
Yes.
okay, anyone comment on this?
Yeah, when we reviewed the sign with Tiger Man in regards to mainly the advertising per se, different donors. And that has been a standard thing that's happened with other park signs. If they're donating to a project.
Right.
They're naming the company could be like that.
Mhm.
So he says there's no issue with that.
Okay, great. And that's what this is indicative of?
That would be the sign. The location we looked at, because that was one of the things when she was trying to do it before, was as you're just getting to the playground itself on the right hand side. Sitting over to the right so people could see it there.
This is a group of parents that support nonprofit and the continuation of Lee Park and Playground. Monica spoke to this commission, I would say the middle part of last year about this. They've been going back and forth on the design of the sign. I think got final sort of approval in December. And even though she's not here, I still feel comfortable moving ahead with this if you all do. Yeah. There any?
material? Like
I think it's like fiberboard, like similar, I'm pretty sure it's similar signs to what we have in Wayview Park, which is. I shouldn't say it's fiberboard, I'm not exactly sure what you call it. It feels like wood with a laminate on there and it lasts for quite a while.
Great. What will the signs be? Dimensions, smelly,
I'm sorry.
this sort of, is this size?
I think it was about 2 feet across from the bottom, and then relative to that, without her here, I'm not exactly sure.
Right. Thank
John, is this permanent or is the donor process ongoing? Will there be new?
This is
donors in the
permanent.
Future.
This is actually recognizing the people that gave to the playground when it was installed a few years ago. So, it will not be updated as time goes on.
Any questions, comments? Anybody? Is there a motion to approve? Steve, thank you. Second, Keith. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? So carries. I'll send Monica a note tomorrow. Congratulating. Job well done. Okay. Next, would be, John, your report.
Okay. So you'll see in your packet, there's a new contact list with everybody on there. Times, the address and everything. First round of the budget meetings is selecting meeting.
Just one real quick, my address needs to be changed. I don't know how important that is, but
Might be important for you else.
so 553 Weed.
We'll get that changed and I'll have to email it out to everybody.
Okay, thanks. It's a longer story, but yes.
Okay.
So the first round of our budget meetings, there's recreation that goes first on 1/17, so next Tuesday. In front of the Board of Selectmen, and then basically every month. Go through the Board of Finance second, and then the last one is the Town Council in March. So. Construction has started in Waving House. So with that, temporarily. B and Debbie have moved down to the groom's room, so as you come up the top of the stairs, you go left. And yesterday, Zach and I moved down where Steve Dayton's office was on the opposite end of the building, which is the yellow room because it's painted yellow. That will be our permanent home. B and Debbie was, the office is repainted and fixed up a little bit. Would be the old recreation director's office that they'll move across the hall. And so they started in earnest. There's walls pulled down, debris being removed. So we'll keep on going there.
These are the 88 bathrooms that are being installed.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the men's and women's 88 bathrooms on the second floor. Gotcha. We tried a new event, a father-daughter dance. It's going to be the beginning of February. We think it's well received because we sold out in a matter of 18 hours. I'm making it live, so we're happy about that. The winter session for all the before and after school programs. The first session we're doing is going well. Instead of having one session for about 8 weeks, we're going to do 2 sessions at 6 weeks each. So this is at all 3 elementary schools. The winter one almost all sold out completely. So we feel that we're back into schools and we're doing well there. A note for racket sports. Right now it's paddle. We're having to, we had to switch the way we reserve courts. So everybody that reserves courts now as a paddle permit has received an email to switch over to this new business court reserve. That's going to go live next Wednesday. So we're sure there's going to be a few problems, people that didn't switch over and things like that. But we have to, the other one basically is going out of business. They were sold and they're not supporting it. So, the only thing, no, this happens to be the same program, software, whatever, that the racket club uses. So, and from everything we hear, as well.
I think the country club used it as well.
Okay.
We adopted it from the beginning of the season, we'll not mistake again.
Is that just for paddle or maybe there's something?
It will be for, right now, just for paddle, but yes, it will be for tennis and actually pickleball too. Right. The recycling of trees has gone very well this year. That's done. There's a lot of trees they started chipping, but there's a lot more to go. So. And it went well. The Parks Department crew has started with winter bench maintenance, bringing in some benches, pressure washing them and treating them. And they've been cutting brush, things like that. The one issue we've been having is we've closed off part of the dog park and reseeded it. We've had multiple calls about people wanting to use it because the other sections are muddy. But with that said, if we open it now, it will all be muddy. Right? But we've had some problems with people letting their dogs over the fence. So if we do open it, we're gonna, all our hard work of reseeding it, fertilizing, everything else is gonna be for nothing. So
If they can also maybe reinforce the fencing.
we did that yesterday.
Okay, because I was there over the weekend and yeah, all the dogs were jumping and people were stepping over,
And unfortunately, once the dogs get over it, they can smell other dogs, they're gonna want to keep
Right.
going.
And then the owners go the other
Yeah.
direction too.
And then, the last thing is, we've been working with people in town hall for the Waveney House weddings and events rates. That wasn't in your packet last week to be approved. It hasn't been finalized. But, so we've been working on that stuff. So, any questions for me?
Yeah, the guy who's doing the stone wall on the far side of Waveney, he's doing a fabulous job. I don't know, is it he who has that little tractor thing?
No, that's actually, the highway department comes up and helps, and they'll bring in stones when he needs extra stones. But he's basically doing it all by himself.
And this is a volunteer thing, right? Or do we pay him?
No, we are paying him. We pay him on a daily rate,
Okay,
so.
okay, but it looks great.
It does.
I check it out, because I play a lot of paddle and it looks great.
It's changed the whole view
Yeah,
of how it looks there. And
Yeah.
we're very happy.
yeah,
We're hoping that he's gonna continue down from the Lapham Road entrance towards the parkway. And we think that the Waveney Conservancy is gonna be able to pay for some of that.
Even better.
Yep.
Yeah, and they did a good job cleaning the brush too behind the paddle courts to that stone wall.
Now it becomes Ryan's job to make sure it stays down. So, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Really changes how the park looks from there.
And what's the schedule for building the new racket, the new paddle court?
Right now, it's in the capital budget, not for the one that starts July first, the year after that. There is money in the budget, the proposed budget, for the. Well, here we call it the Steve Benko picnic.
Right.
Picnic area, so there's money in the budget for that to be built after July first, if it's all approved. But the additional paddle court will be a year out.
And maybe I was confused, Joe, but I thought we had to do, or at least I thought I heard that we were gonna do the paddle court. Kind of had to be done along with kind of the other landscaping work, whatever work around the paddleball court. So that it's gonna be done as kind of like one unit. Was that not correct?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay,
So the paddle court was in the budget moving forward, and that's why it's another year out.
okay.
Would it be great to do it all at once, just like any project? Yeah, but they're two different contractors. The paddle court is built specifically by the company.
Okay.
So yeah, they can integrate together well.
Any questions for John? No. John, thank Monica. Guess what?
I heard.
You got approved.
I didn't know if you wanted my, my printouts or
I think
anything
we're-
like that.
okay. There was one question about the size.
I have it. I did show it at the last meeting, but if he wants.
Don't change anything that we approved of.
No, it's all the same. Everything is the same.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
You can also get there.
So they had this.
All right, so here, you take mine, okay, because it's got, I did give you measurements before, but the measurements are, okay. I can,
They were just asking.
okay, I'll take one.
Custom.
You can have it after.
Yeah. Okay. So, you'll notice that on the second, sorry, is this awkward that I'm saying, on the second page, because of the blurriness of the JPEG, I went ahead and copied the text, which is the same as, the text is exactly the same as on the John. And then if you look towards the back, you will see there are dimensions. See that? And then it even goes into further detail about, the construction of the sign and things like that. And then I do want to add that at the end, that quote is really old. Obviously Friends of Mead Park Playground, we're paying for it, but just FYI, I don't know if the numbers matter to anyone on this commission, but that number is probably significantly different. But again, which we will be assuming the full cost of the sign.
Okay. Right.
I guess the only question I had was as far as installation. How that works. I know that we had Corsetti do the actual pit surface. I don't know how you want to handle installation of the sign.
When we could either have a contractor do it, or even the sign company might, I don't.
Right.
Yeah,
So I know that they do have, but we didn't want to make any sort of commitment to them. We were all, we just said, let's work on getting this actual nuts and bolts of the sign approved first, and then we will work on installation.
it won't be till springtime anyways, they have to build it.
Correct, right, okay. And then I think we all talked about the placement. We were good with placement too.
We're good with placement as long as it hasn't moved. I
No.
described to them to the right of,
It's
yeah,
not
okay.
moved.
Right, good.
So,
There was one question about the material that we got.
okay, and I think it's on here.
It's fiberglass.
That is not the same material as our side.
Now, did it say that the actual pole is fiberglass or is it just the sign itself? I think the pole is metal.
Yeah.
So it's, the sign is fiberglass, but the actual pole upon which it rests, those are metal. And they're going to sort of drive the actual play structure itself. And as you can see, the colors as well of the sign mimic, the play structure is very colorful, and so the sign sort of mimics that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? we're really excited to get this done. Is there anyone else that needs to approve this at this point, or is this it? Okay, so we can go ahead with ordering it then.
Thank you very much for the hard work that you put into this. I knew this would lose a lot of back and forth on this over the last few months.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we crossed the finish line.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very glad. And I want to say thank you so much for all of your time, and John, of course. You know, I take for granted that I've worked so closely with everyone on his team, and of course the late Steve Banko too, which we've also included some really nice language on the sign as well. I used to meet once, twice a week with Steve, like regularly. Emails, Sunday nights, Saturdays, didn't really matter, so we wanted to make sure that we also got some, you know, a tribute to him in there as well, because he was really instrumental, along with everyone else, but, you know, Steve Banko, of course, had a place in my heart for all the time that he put into this project. So thank you. And then I guess my only other thing is for the next, you know, for the Waveney Playground, we'd also love to be able to.
It's good that you're here because we will get to that in my.
Okay, great,
Michael, thank you.
thank you. Okay.
Right, agenda here. Next is, chairperson's report, a few things. First, in your packet of information are the subcommittee assignments for 2023. Just for our newer members, everybody is assigned a subcommittee. And as you know, this commission has a lot of touch points. Okay, and done a lot of different activities. We work with a lot of nonprofit groups. Okay, and what we do is on the specific dates, the meetings. I'll send you guys an email a week or so beforehand, just to make sure that you're prepared to report. If you'd like to bring anybody in to discuss, that's fine, particularly like the carriage barn or the powerhouse. Capping carburetors, you know, something of that nature, that feel free to do that. In February, we'll hear from the Buchanan Athletic Foundation. I'll have Mike Benevento here to speak a little bit about that, and the work that they're doing. So you can either, or if you want to have somebody else come in and do the reporting, that's great, but it's a good way that we can sort of annually or semi-annually touch base in the different programs and facilities that fall ultimately under our jurisdiction. Okay, if there's any questions, just let me know on this. And so that was number one.
We'll also be able, glad to give you any information we can.
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, for example, Paddleport uses in November, usually, John's office can send you information to how many subscribers there've been, usage, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, exactly. A lot of times if you have a work like that, it's good to touch base with John's office beforehand. So any questions about the subcommittee? Okay. Moving on here, we talked about the meeting dates. Okay, playgrounds, Waveney Playground. That is going to be a project committee, not a subcommittee. Francesca has nicely offered to be commission member on this committee. I'd like to ideally have one more for the Waveney Playground. Is there anybody here who would like to volunteer to do that? Tim? Okay, thank you. And what we will do is we'll put this in the minutes, and then we'll obviously initiate things with Tiger and John. It has been approved in the budget. Monica, would you also like to be on?
Yes.
Okay. So we have.
We need one more, Georgia.
Was that?
We need one more. I can jump in.
You know, Jake, okay. We ideally would, John, would you have a chair of this committee, to sort of initiate meetings?
Sure. And we can give as much support as needed for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of a chair. Again, Francesca's not here, so I'm certainly not going to volunteer and she's there, but if there's anybody.
I'll do it, George.
Jake, okay, Jake, thank you. Jake, would it be all right, maybe perhaps by the May meeting, maybe ask for an update?
Yeah.
I think that gives us some runway time. Okay. May meeting.
I'll send an email to Tiger about who you approved the committee.
Okay. have an update. Okay, so Francesca, Jake as chair, Monica, thank you. And Tim will be on this committee. Jake, if there's others that you would like to include, people that are non-commission members, just feel free, and then however you guys want to put together a meeting, just obviously because there's 3 commission members, so there has to be a public notice about it. So if you could CC myself and John, and myself and John probably should be present at some point, we definitely John should be. However you guys want to do that, thank you, appreciate it. Okay. And Monica, if you have some suggestions as to persons that might be able to provide some good input, I want to contact Jake about that. That'd be Great.
I'll ask, Alice, I'm here on behalf of Allison as well. She's at the SACS course concert with her kids, but she may want to, because her and I were co-chairs for the MEAT project.
Right.
I guess, you know, in terms of getting numbers, it sounds like there was an approved budget. Should I reach out to Jake about getting those numbers?
And the committee should be, obviously, we want it to be a good cross representation, but not too mammoth, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because you have like 30 people, it's gonna be
Right.
hard to just, you know.
No, I totally understand, and I think that having representation of parents with kids, you know, the ones who are gonna use these facilities, I think is really important too. I think that was instrumental in making Mead as successful as it is. I mean, every time you go to that playground, it's become sort of this magical place. It was magical before because it transformed the space in its first, you know, original iteration, but now it's really quite something. And so I think with Waveney, because of all of the sports events, I know I'm there all the time in the spring, having sort of an enclosed area over there where the younger siblings can play is really great.
It's certainly needed, and I think to get the kids off the exercise equipment,
Yes.
would be very helpful,
Yes.
definitely. So thank you to all, and to Tim and Jake and Francesca and Monica for doing that, okay. Okay, the other thing on my report is, I'd first like to welcome 2 new members, Doug Murphy and Tim Puggle, to the commission. Welcome. They've been sworn in, and look forward to working with them. And very sadly, I have to say, Carl has tendered his resignation to the commission because of the work conflicts, and I'd really like to express my deep gratitude to Carl and the great work that he's done over the last many years with the commission, and he will be missed.
Thanks, George.
His replacement will be selected by the first selectman's office. Kevin is on vacation this week, will be back Monday, and we'll go into motion now.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fantastic being on the commission. Been there for 5 years. I've had to tender my resignation. My term is due, but I got a new job, and I really can't commit to, you know, the commission through the next few months. So leaving that, but it's been a great experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
So congratulations on the new job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, that is it for me. Is there any other business to be brought forward? With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
No,
No,
I wanted to speak, please. Hello,
All right, I think you might have a comment.
hi.
She-
I don't, I'm on a Zoom and part of the public. Excuse me,
Did you approve?
I'm trying to speak under public comment, please.
Trying to speak. Hold on.
Can everybody hear me?
Not really.
Well, that's a problem with Zoom over here. This is Betty Labostek. I'm going to make a few suggestions, if I may. Provided you could hear me down there. The first suggestion that I have is if George, Mr. Chairman, if you could add your name to the Park and Rec website so that when we email someone, that I don't send it to your personal email. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I usually just use one email. You can send it to my personal email, Betty, that's fine.
But I was going to say the other commissions that we have for councils, there is a at New Canaan ct.gov. Would you want to have that so that it's professional, that you're part or chair of the commission? Could you have a
All right.
Government.
Into that, okay, Betty. What was your other?
and then And then the other comment I have is, my husband sent an email to the chairman's attention for distribution to everyone, and we wanted to have that part of the record. So if anyone requests under FOIA, they could read it. And I didn't see any draft of the minutes, so I just want to make sure that the commissioners received it and that it would be part of the record.
This was about his comments about the meeting that he had difficulty seeing it, correct?
That's correct. And I still want that part, or he's here with me, part of the record.
Okay.
I don't hear your response. Did you say yes?
Yeah, Betty, I will forward that email on to John. I was on vacation when you sent that to me. Okay, and I was actually down in Florida, so it probably slipped through the cracks. And I will I'd take care of it. I'll make sure that you get a copy of it.
All right, but I just want to make sure that it's included as part of the records and that the commissioners did receive it.
Okay, we'll get it in these minutes.
Okay, and could I just ask to John how, you had mentioned the recreation budget going to the Board of Selectmen. Is there a way that we can see, we meaning the taxpayers, can see what's going into that budget before it goes to the Board of Selectmen, or is it given to the Board of Selectmen a few days earlier? I know board member Kathleen Corbett asked that if anything is given to them, that it gets given Friday before their meeting on Tuesday. Would it be possible to have that available Friday before the Board of Selectmen meeting?
I can't tell you if right now, I can't make it available to you, but our budgets have already been submitted to the town. Because the Board of Finance puts the packet together for the Board of Selectmen. I can't.
Okay, so I would have to go to the Board of Selectmen, is that correct?
I missed the last part.
I was just asking, since you already released it to the Board of Selectmen, would I then have to go to the Board of Selectmen to find out the recreation budget or the proposed budget?
Yes, but to be clear, I do not release it to the Board of Selectmen. I submit it to the Board of, or to the Finance Department who gathers all the information and makes the packet for the boards.
Okay, thank you. And in that packet, at last month's meeting, resident Kathy Mitchell of Marvin Ridge Road had requested stackable chairs for seniors at Kiwanis Beach. Would that be included in there?
Actually, no, the budget was already submitted by that point in time, so there is no request for in the present request, there's no money for chairs for Kiwanis Park.
Okay, and the issue with the patio in the back with that part that caved in that we discussed last month, is that going to be addressed next year?
That should be addressed in the present year's budget before we open this coming spring.
Okay, and the 9 umbrellas that we don't have at Kiwanis Park, is that possible to get for this coming season?
Umbrellas.
Thank you so much, and everybody, thank you so much, and I'm happy to zoom in and that it works this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
Okay. With that said, is there any other comments?
I'll mention that, when I was by Corners, there's a bunch of lounge chairs and that are there.
And that was part of what she was talking about, saying that they're old. Those were donated to us.
They're too low.
And they're too low.
They look very good shape. They're the ones I keep by my pool. You know, they're in good shape. You know? I mean, really, they look pretty serviceable to me.
In general, we'd like people to bring their own chairs,
Yeah.
because otherwise we have to have them all removed off the beach to rake it and everything else. So just like at the pool, you bring your own chairs to the pool.
Yeah, But so
There is some there, but
yeah, but we'll keep those existing lounge chairs available for people, right?
until they break, that type of
Yeah.
thing, you know, if they're not repairable, they're not repairable. They were donated to the town.
Yes, but they
But
look,
plug one to get rid of them.
they look pretty serviceable to me.
Any other questions, comments? There was a motion to adjourn and then a second by Carl. So, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you. Our next meeting will be here. We're gonna try to have all of our meetings here going forward on Wednesday, February 8th. Parking is easier. We now have Zoom, better Zoom capabilities. So I think it's a better conducive environment for us all. So, again, thank you. Happy New Year.